without changing the code, we can create new templates. So as an example, pay to rpuzzle hash is one that the team have put together. We've got the spending outputs and everything like that, allowing us to create a payment that, well, for instance, we can have Nakamoto high-speed consensus channels that, well, they are actually secure. Sorry, Greg. There are different ways of doing things. Not my fault you didn't take the time to understand Bitcoin. So all those things I discussed with Mike are doable. This is part of how. So we have to consider security. We need to include a signature, and we can do multiple signature parts in all this as well. This is the whole thing. If we don't limit script, we allow people to put all this stuff in there, to have sig hash none, sig hash one, or any. Let people choose. Create different templates. Isn't that what building is all about? Not me telling you how to do it, but here are the rules of the game. Create stuff. And that's what I want to see. So we can have general knowledge questions. The simple one is just one. But if we don't have script limitations anymore, we can now automate things like education testing. We can have a test, and for simple, half the time useless, true-false answers and ABCD and all that stuff, rather than having processing where the student sends it off and it comes back and whatever else, we could have a transaction where they sit there and on their tablet or whatever else, they go A, B, C, D, E, take a modified money button swipe, and their test is not just sent off and graded, but is embedded in the blockchain immutably with the results. That simple. We can create voting systems in this. Remember, if we now issue, and I covered in the past oblivious transfer and atomic swaps, we have the value for every individual assigned using an rpuzzle. No one knows it, and you can add your own key after you vote. It can be to anywhere. It can be sent to candidate A, candidate B, candidate C. You can even have complex voting schemes where everything's in there, and it can be done with a little swipe thing like money button. Again, I'll give Ryan another thing, and you go, that one yes, that one no, that one no. Who thinks that's a good idea? Yeah. So that's a valid use. See, what we don't want is Bitcoin helping to fund crime. We don't want anonymity. But if we can make it private enough to vote securely in a democratic election, that's good. So most people don't realize, but I actually have experience in this. I was the security consultant and reviewer for the New South Wales Electoral Commission. I vote. Not really widely public knowledge, but the electronic voting system in New South Wales, Australia, was something that I helped implement and review. Of course, we can do it better. Cytel, which I got to analyze and whatever else, is pre-blockchain. We can now take all of that knowledge and do one on-chain. Much better. No having to trust whether the records haven't been tampered with. No having to go back over time and hope that it's all good. Next, signatories. The real problem in many systems right now is how do we get them signed and witnessed correctly? Electronic documents are legal, but the process needs to be followed. If you're going to be a witness, can you sign before the signatory? No. So if you've got a 2 of 2 thing and you're going one person's a witness, how do you prove it? That's important. If you go to a court and someone says, well, I signed as a witness before the person, I made a mistake, it's no longer a valid contract. Your house hasn't been sold. That's actually been through court, so it has to be reversed. So we want a system that works in law with people and follows these things that have been tested over time. We want something allowing us to have each of these statements. Like I said, multiple statements, multiple attestation in order. So if you're a witness, if you're a notary, you can't notarize something before. Time is recorded in Bitcoin. That means we can have a proper land register where sales are notarized. But code is law is for stupid children. Everyone say that. Code is law is for stupid children. Okay? The reason is important. People have problems that they need to overcome. You cannot encode everything. This Silicon Valley bullshit mentality that led to people being raped in the back of Ubers as the CEO who got kicked out abused people is wrong. We need a society that has people who are accountable for their actions, who when something goes wrong can answer, that isn't set so that you can never change a contract. Contracts are flexible for a reason. What happens if you break your leg and can't finish a job? Right now, you can go to a bank and negotiate saying, I'm sick, I'm ill, I need more time. Can you help me? You can't do that where code is law. Bitcoin lets you. 2 of 3 means you can have an arbitrator. You can set your banking contract such that I have gotten cancer, please, can I have extra time? That's valid. In my 20s, I had cancer. I had loans. I had to beg people to extend them, not to bankrupt me. I don't like code as law. I paid back everything with interest because those people trusted me. Bitcoin does not remove that. It enables it. It is not an anti-person system. This is how we do things. We can now do all the checks in script. So my team have been filing patents on all of this, including things like checking signatures in script, different types. So with existing script format, the original one I created in 2009, you can do checking of ECDSA signatures. The way you do it is you cheat. You require an outside calculation that you test to be correct. So the script doesn't need to do everything. It needs a knowledge proof. One where you put that in the script, and if someone lies, it fails. You don't need to do all of the calculation. ECDSA is very complex. You just need to prove someone did the calculation. Then you can additively add signatures, like you do with Schnorr. But you don't need to put it all in script. You can take an external system and prove that the only answer is the correct one. Then, who cares where it's calculated? Do you need every miner calculating everything? No. You need to know it's the right answer. So the MetaNet changes everything. Google, Facebook, Twitter, they make money because of the perverse nature of incentives on the internet. They treat popular as good. Popular is not good. Popular just means lots of people looked at it. What is better? Is the Wall Street Journal a better source of news? Or Kim Kardashian's Facebook stream. I don't know about you, I would rather trust Wall Street Journal. But then they don't get as many readers. MetaNet incentivizes things differently. When you incentivize by the number of advertising clicks, you incentivize the lowest common denominator. Trolls become valuable. Slander becomes valuable. Lies become valuable. Insults, flame wars, all of these become valuable because they have more advertising revenue. Bitcoin makes an internet where pages are valued because they're good. People are willing to pay not for flame wars, but content. The best content wins. That is important. So what we end up with is things that bypass web servers altogether. And I've said before, Bitcoin is a Mandela network. This is a specialized form that very few people seem to know about yet, of a small world network where there are layered network structures. The miners act to validate. The peer-to-peer part of the network is peers. I know that's a really complex scenario, like people actually handing money to each other, people interacting with each other. Because, I mean, strange concept, peer-to-peer networks with peers. That's what Bitcoin's about. Not everyone runs a node. Think of it, 5 billion people running a node. You have a perfect ASIC-free system, which we're going to release. If Ethereum wants it, they can have it. I'm sure they won't use it because I've got a patent, but we've solved that. And if you want to run this out, go for it. Have everyone run their nodes and run so that every 5,000 years or so you have a chance of winning a block on average, and see who signs up. Yippee! 5 billion people, every 5,000 years, we're going to get a block. Yay. Do you think they're going to invest in infrastructure? No. We've got this thing called tragedy of the commons in economics. If everyone is altruistic and running a block, and if you expect once every 5,000 years to win a block, you probably don't ever expect to win a block. That means no one cares. Everyone abuses the system. The externalities, the incentives point to, I don't actually care anymore. I'll let that guy run a block and that one, but I'm not going to do anything. And everyone gets to this point where they don't do anything. So we want people to commercialize use of the internet so that they can charge based on value. That lowers the cost of good content. It doesn't make it more expensive. Good content becomes cheaper. Right now it's expensive. Right now good content is drowned out by the crud that is incentivized by Google, the crud that is incentivized by Facebook, the crud that is incentivized by Twitter. We want that gone. Why? Because we want quality. We want people interacting with people. This concept of machines being able to buy themselves. Why do you want your machine saving money? It's not sentient. There are no such things as machines that are going to go off there and want to save. Machines don't want. People want. Machines are just tools. You don't want your hammer to have a say. You don't want your car to have a say. You want because you're you. If you have a choice, a car that gets to pay you 3% returns, but it gets to buy itself in 2 years, or a self-driving car that doesn't and earns 5% per year, Guess which one wins? Not Vitalik's one, because he's a stupid little boy who doesn't understand that cars don't think. So, timed access is important. How we actually set things up, like project management. If A, then B. These things are important. If a contractor finishes a job on time, he gets this amount of money. If he's late, he gets that amount of money. That's what smart contracts allow. That's what we're building in. Within the law, payment mechanisms, allowing applications where consumers can pay merchants directly. Not, I have to set up my Lightning node. Just bear with me a second. I'm wheeling in my laptop. I'm just going to synchronize. I should be ready in 15 to 30 minutes. Okay, I've synchronized my Lightning node. Oh, my payment channel's a little bit low. Do you mind while I now resynchronize and add some more to my payment channel? I'll be another half hour. Meanwhile, as you're standing at Waitrose, the store closes and everyone goes home. We want people to pay directly. Peer-to-peer means stop thinking that everyone needs to be a damn miner. The miners are paid. They have their peer network. Users are basically going to interact together. That's the whole nature of SPV. We interact. We hand each other transactions. We're happy. So, browser wallets. Yes, it's early sort of mock-up and it's ugly, and this is as pretty as anything that I've hand-drawn that's been turned into something we'll ever get. This is why, well, the original UI. I'm sorry. Deterministic keys. This allows us now to link things. So Jack talked about it at the developer section yesterday. This allows us to start linking content, to build something I can't even start to imagine. When we start thinking about how you can link functions, link content, link everything else, mash up anything for value, you guys have got to take this and build a new world. I'm just going to give you the tools. I'm going to give you the hammer, and I'm going to give you the car, but unfortunately the car I'm going to give you is a slave. It has no rights and it doesn't get a vote. Sorry. So we want to attest. That means in order. And one of the things, for an example, if we have a large system, we can now have video as an attesting scheme. So the great thing about having involvement with like the Law Society in Britain and whatever else, because I'm a PhD student in law, is I get to see some of these things coming up. And this month, there's been the Law Commission's report on attestation. Luckily, I patented it a month before the report. But anyway, that's fun. It allows you to have a video attestation, and we can store that on chain, and we can witness on chain. And that will even be legally admissible for something like a house purchase, a car purchase, etc. So we can also use code separator as it originally was. If we have an enforced order, this is admissible in court, not outside in court. We can use this now to provably have land transactions, car transactions, large transactions, etc. That means we can enforce order. So the team is going to be putting up blogs, they're going to be putting up education material, and we're going to be building some of this into the SDK so that you guys can take it without having to do all the hard work. We're going to do the stuff behind there and start teaching you and start building it so that you can take this and create something new. Something like a signing system that can link into Adobe so that now you can provably say that I've attested after that person and that I witnessed them. Something where you can have a real land register where all of this is recorded, where fraud is captured and can be stopped. So these are the sorts of things we want to build. I want a world where we're going to help law enforcement collapse all of the scams. And as we find things like BTC and whatever else fighting to be more criminal friendly, I'm going to hand law enforcement the tools to make them obsolete. Thank you.